Alrighty, everyone. I hope everybody has had a good day. Happy Monday. Today we are just going to be doing our open discussion. Finally, we're getting back on track. And the poll that I put up yesterday, I believe, the winning topic was privacy. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if you guys want to share any advice or experiences that you guys have had in relation to privacy, whether that be online or in person, feel free to share that, but also don't feel like you have to. Don't feel pressured. You never have to feel like you have to participate if you don't want to, only if you feel comfortable. And I hope everybody had a good weekend. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much. I appreciate everybody. So I do want to go ahead and get started and say hello to everyone who is here and go ahead and jump on into the topic. I'm going to give it just a little bit of time in case notifications take a while to go out. But it is good to see you, Susan, and just doing me Stace. So clearly you guys can tell one major change. I did dye my hair. After Friday, I dyed it. So I had wasn't necessarily an event, but I had something I had to go to with some of my husband's higher. If you're military, I had to go for some of his command. We were just meeting some of his new people over him. So I did not want to go to that with multicolored pink, purple, orange hair. So I did go ahead and dye it for primarily for that. We also have another event that we are probably having to go to on Wednesday. So I just figured I should go darker. So you can't really tell if the lighting hits it the right way. You might be able to tell it's actually like a super dark purple. It's not black, but it does look black just if you're not really paying attention, which was kind of what I was going for. So I do like how it turned out. There's a few spots that, primarily one right here, that I don't think I got any of the hair dye on. So it looks a little different, but I'm okay with that. It shows a little bit of character or texture or whatever. So we'll be keeping with this hair. This is permanent, so I know over time it's going to grow out, and it probably will fade a little bit as I wash it since it is like a purple. But this is what we're going to be dealing with for the next few months until we kind of know a little bit more of what's going on to see what I do otherwise. But seems some people have come in, so I'm going to go ahead and say hi to everybody who's here, and then we'll go ahead and start talking about our topic choice tonight. I will say I'm probably going to stumble on my words. I've not been sleeping well, not due to anything other than I have just royally messed up my sleeping schedule, and I had to wake up early this morning, and I attempted to take a nap, but I couldn't. And then I figured, well, I might as well just stay up so I can actually go to bed at a decent hour tonight to hopefully get my schedule back on track for when I have a vacation in a little bit. So if I stumble, that's why. Please forgive me. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Michelle Z. Driving to work. Okay, I understand. Yeah, don't text and drive. Hey, Celine Adams, good to see you. Hey, Gwen. Hey, Sincere. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Dottie. Lisa, Tracy, Sue. I can't remember if I said hi or not. Hey, T. You like this color much better? Yeah, the other color was good. Like, it did fare with my skin tone fine, but it just faded out way too quick. If it had stayed that bright, vibrant pink, I probably would have left it longer, but it happens. Hey, Elizabeth. Hey, Beauty Demon. Good to see you. Yeah, dark hair does complement my shade of blue eyes. I've noticed that. Maybe that's why I prefer to go like more dark than brighter colors. No, Lisa, it's not that kind of event that we're going to. We do have there are formal events being a military spouse that you attend and that you go to, but the one on Wednesday is nothing like that. It's more of a laid back, from my understanding, it's a laid back like flight meeting where family's supposed to come. So we'll see. We'll see. My husband told me today that maybe we won't go. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I just do what I'm asked. Hey, Okie Mom, good to see you. You haven't missed anything. We haven't gotten into the topic yet. I appreciate everybody who is complimenting the hair. I agree. It looks better this way. I liked the pink. It's not like I didn't like it, but it was so different that it was hard for me to. I liked it initially, then it kind of faded. Then I really liked it, and then it started to wash out. So I really don't feel like I had enough time to get used to the hair. And surprisingly, I know box dye is not supposed to be the healthiest for your hair, but after I did this box dye, my hair is no longer like getting tangled. It's not stiff. It's not coarse anymore. If you can watch how my hair reacted when it was pink and I would run my hands through it, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. If maybe I just stripped all that crap that maybe I'd put on my hair with the box dye, I don't know. But it feels soft and shiny, and it's back to not being tangled. So I prefer this. That was one of my biggest issues that I don't think really translated on camera so much, was just the texture my hair turned while it was pink. I did not like it. Hey, April. Hey, Heather. Hey, Jersey Jojo. Hey, Maria Rose. Good to see you. Thank you. I appreciate the compliments. That's all you use is box dye. I mean, I've always used box dye, but when I bleached and colored it, the pink, it was supposed to be fuchsia. It turned out more pink. We actually got like a semi-permanent professional color from Sally's. We went to Sally's and actually got like not box dye. So I'm used to box dye though. Was a Marine Corps wife for 12 and a half years. You never know the yeah. As a spouse, your significant other, your husband, your wife, your partner, however you refer to who you're in a relationship with, they may know weeks in advance and they decide to just tell you last minute, or they don't know and they are like the active duty member is found out last minute and then they're telling you last minute. It's lovely when you don't have formals or semi-formals or things like that and you're having to wear stuff like that to an event. I've had that happen before. Since then, I have a few dresses that I just keep on in my closet for in case that happens. Hey, Courtney. Yeah, maybe it was the bleach. I don't know. I'm just glad my hair doesn't feel like that anymore. Alrighty, so our topic tonight is privacy. And I'm pretty sure people want to talk about it in the sense of online privacy. Sorry, I have a dog hair in my eyelashes. But we really can kind of talk about this however you guys want to talk about it. I left our topics for this week pretty general intentionally. That way the conversation can kind of go whichever way and people not feel that they have to stick to just one topic. So I find when I leave it a little bit more general, more people feel comfortable and inclined to participate in the conversation. Not to make anybody feel like they have to, but so I picked some more general topics to discuss. Hey, Anna. So privacy. I think I've made a video and I think we've maybe have talked about it in lives before. Sorry if my backdrop moves. My dogs are in here. I've I know I have made a video about it, and I'm pretty sure we maybe have discussed it a time or two during some live discussions, but I don't know if we've ever just primarily talked about that. So, Whiskey, lay down. Lay down. He's going to keep budging it if I don't have him lay down. Come lay down. Lay down. Go in. Lay all the way down. Okay, good boy. He might snore and you guys might hear that, but other than that, he'll be relaxed now. So sorry for anybody watching on the replay. I'm sure that's probably annoying that I got distracted, but I have talked about it before, and there's a couple of different ways we can talk about the privacy today. I think the primary point that should be made is everybody should always try and keep your privacy protected. If there's information that you don't want people to know, or you don't want people to know your full legal name, or you don't want people to know your name at all, you have to understand that it is your right coming onto social media to not portray who you are to everybody. Some social media people who have social medias, that didn't make sense. Some people who have like a platform, they may have a very serious professional job that totally does not align with their social media presence. And it is okay to have those separate. There is this TikTok lady I came across, and I don't remember her name, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but she was giving advice about sex work on her TikTok. And in one of her very first TikToks, she said, I don't know how long this will be up in case my job finds out about it. Because she said she didn't allude to what her job was. She just said she had a very respectable professional job, and she did some form of sex work on the side to supplement her income and give her the lifestyle that she wanted to live. And that is totally okay. But in the atmosphere that social media, not just YouTube, but social media in general has gotten to, it's as if you piss somebody off, or if you offend somebody, or you maybe hurt somebody's feelings, their initial reaction seems to be to try and figure out who you are in real life, or try and figure out some kind of actual dirt on you to try and expose you to your audience. And then of course it will continue on, because if there's beefs between channels or creators, you're kind of in the same genre to some extent. I feel like usually whenever there is some kind of back and forth argument or back and forth fighting between creators, it's typically because they have either shared similar topics or they have had conversations themselves before. There's usually some kind of something that aligns them together, whether it's at their own doing and they're having their own conversations and maybe they have a falling out or a disagreement, or it's something where they're covering similar topics and they may have totally different opinions about one situation, and then it diverts and then some kind of infighting ends up happening. I mean, that kind of seems to be what happens with most creators who end up in like petty drama. And it's one thing for people to, I think it's, if people are going to argue back and forth on their platforms, like that's their prerogative. If they feel that they need to do that or they want to do that, they can. But if it's a continued lifelong, like not lifelong, but a continued effort, that's when I feel like after a couple of videos, people just kind of get sick of it and they really want to hurt the person. So they try to dox them. They try to release information that maybe the public doesn't know, or they try to share screenshots that maybe portray them in a different light than what they have put on their platform. And that's all to say, like, if there is a creator who is extremely problematic and is engaging in problematic behavior, there's nothing wrong with calling out what you observe and giving your opinions about the creator. It's whenever you start to try and figure out who they are in real life, or try and dig stuff up, or try to intentionally cause the public, like attempting to cancel people. I've talked about it before. I don't really believe in cancel culture itself. Anybody who's ever been canceled or should be canceled technically doesn't get canceled. The only person who has, in my opinion, been canceled based off of bad behavior and people calling them out was Onision. And in that situation, the only reason he ended up getting demonetized and everything on YouTube was because it made it to a large network. There's other creators who have been called out for very similar, if not worse, behavior, and they're still on this platform and they're still monetized. And you don't see people going at them I'm sure people do go at them in atrocious manners, but it's not like this every day. I'm going to try and dox you. I'm going to try and share everything on you for these other creators who engage in this very, very gross, and it does violate people's privacy. We have a right when we are online, whether it is as a viewer, as a creator, as a commenter, as somebody who maybe even silently watches, you have the right to remain anonymous if you want to. If you don't want to use your real name, you don't have to. That's why when you sign up for YouTube, you don't have to put in your legal name on your channel. The parts that you have to have your legal name for are for like payment and stuff like that. But aside from that, that's almost the platform offering, like, you don't need to tell people who you actually are. And it was, I watched a video, it was from Dina Dancing, and she discussed how one of the comments she made was, she said it differently, but she said, if you peed in public in 1997, why is that anybody else's business? Especially if it did happen in 1997 and we're in year 2020. Who knows how old you were in 1997 for that? Clearly you were at least 18. Not necessarily, because you can get arrested younger, but it doesn't stay on your record. That's not true. It doesn't go on your adult record. So, I mean, people can change. That is what I'm getting at. People can change, and our past shouldn't be held against us. And not everybody who seems to be a great person is a great person, and not people who are seemingly bad people are actually bad people. I mean, it's all about perception. And the best thing to do for you as a viewer is to protect your privacy. I would encourage people to not use your legal name unless you really don't care. I still would encourage you not to, unless it's in a private setting with people that you know in real life. Otherwise, you never know who you're going to come across in YouTube or on Twitter or on Instagram. You never know who you're going to come across. And there's some weird, creepy people online. I mean, that's just the reality of it. There really are some nasty individuals on the internet that are on the internet for bad intentions. And I'm not talking about trolls or people who leave negative comments. I'm talking about people who are predatory, who are looking for the next person. They're looking for their next target. And having your real name can be dangerous. I would always encourage everybody, unless it's in a private, like a private lockdown Facebook or a private lockdown Twitter where it's only people you know, that is the only situation that I would use my real name. I never, since I got into my profession, I've never used my real name, like my full legal name. I don't do that because you never know when you're working with the public, especially the kind of communities that I was working with. You never know what their reaction may be. And in certain situations, they're not going to be happy with you, and you don't want your life to be at risk. And it should be the same online. If you're not going to go skipping down the streets screaming to everybody your name, your address, and your phone number, why are you okay and so willing to do it online? Like, have some kind of sense of protection for yourself. There's other forms that you can do to help protect yourself online. People subscribe to VPNs, which is just somewhere that help. I'm not 100% sure on how to explain it, but it helps bounce your location, from my understandings, for your IP address, something like that. I primarily hear it when other YouTubers are sponsored and they're talking about how they're sponsored by a VPN and how you can log into log into Netflix from somewhere else with a VPN. So, I mean, those are just a few ways. Another way that you can protect yourself is with two-factor authentication. On any social media, especially if you are a creator to any degree, I would highly encourage you to have your two-factor on. That way, in the circumstance, you maybe make somebody mad, or you maybe end up with somebody who becomes a little bit too concerned with you and maybe even obsessed with you and who wants to get into your stuff. If you have two-factor on, it's an added layer. And from my understanding, people can still get into it with a two-factor on, but it's a lot harder. So if you have social media, my personal two big things would be to not use your real name and to always have two-factor on when you can. There are several other ways that you can help protect yourself online, but those are the main ones that are free. They don't cost any money for you to do them, and they're clever things to do. So I'm going to take a sip, and then I'm going to see what you guys are chatting about, because I just kind of wanted to get the bulk of the conversation on my end done, and now we can have the discussion part. Hey, Annika, good to see you. Hey, Blue. You really like to stay out of drama. Real life has enough. Yeah, sometimes it can. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. Some of you were just discussing this the other night and discussing how holding people accountable for their behavior should never cross over into people's personal lives. And there are nuances, and this probably isn't the best discussion to have at this time, but there are nuances at times. For example, just because you get offended or your feelings get hurt or something like that, I mean, that's no reason to come for somebody and to share what you're doing publicly. For instance, like my example is the Shanny for Christ situation, where she blatantly shared with the public on multiple occasions what she was doing to her children. In that kind of scenario, and I will say this, like, if I had seen it, I would have had concerns. So in those kinds of situations, there are times when an individual may come to a crossroads where they feel that they need to make that choice and they need to make that call. It is one thing to make that call because you genuinely are concerned and you want the family or the children or whoever to be checked up on, versus I'm calling so I can say that I called, so I can maybe get some clout from it, or so maybe I can torment them by this. Those are two very, very different scenarios. And for for almost every aspect, I would agree that going real life is not it shouldn't happen. There are situations, though, that I see and I have observed after the fact where, I don't know what kind of decision I would have made in the moment if I had been watching that live. And I mean, that's the truth. If you have people who are openly breaking the law or hurting themselves or others, or talking about seriously hurting themselves or others, I don't like how people shy away from getting authorities involved, because that could be what saves somebody at some point. So yes, privacy exists, but if you allow people to know your information for these kinds of circumstances to happen, then I don't think it should be paraded around for everyone to know your information. But if they have a concern and they know your information, they should be able to call the authorities, if that makes any kind of sense. Hopefully my thoughts make it out enough to where you know what I'm trying to say. No, Lisa, I don't have when you guys become members, we just see what you have on YouTube as your name. We don't see anything else. We don't get you're paying YouTube. As a member, you're paying YouTube, and then YouTube pays the creator, and they take like 30%. So we don't know creators don't know any of their subscribers or members' information unless you send that to them, or unless you PayPal them and you're using your legal name for your PayPal. Otherwise, creators don't know your contact information or anything like that. Hey, Cats in Crime. Whiskey. Have you seen the YouTuber that's going to Bali with friends and the first 8 to get 2,000 off? No, I have not even heard about that. I'm not sure who you're referring to. Hey, Isabel. Good to see you. Hey, Tamara. How do you change your name? So the way that you change your name is, it depends on if you're on your phone or if you are on desktop, is you just go into your Google settings. So if you're on your phone, you just need to find your Google account, like your Gmail, and you'll go into your profile settings and you can change your name there. And if you're on a desktop and you use Google Chrome, you just have to click your image and again, find your profile and go through and edit your information there. So it's not your legal name if you don't want to have your legal name. Of course, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. I'm just saying what I would suggest to maintain a level of privacy. If I'm really nervous about something online, you will go wild and use a VPN in a virtual machine. It makes you feel high tech too. You always use two-factor ID. Your VPN shows you in a different country. Changing your name in sock accounts, is that the same thing? No, not necessarily. Sock accounts are typically made when you are already blocked by someone that you're trying to see, like, for instance, a larger creator. We'll use Gabby Hanna because she's been notoriously blocking people lately. So you're following Gabby Hanna, and then your creator, you've talked about her, somehow she finds out, and so she blocks you. So you can no longer see her tweets or her Instagram posts, depending on what she blocked you on. And you need to see that stuff, or you want to see that stuff, in the sense of like creators who have large audiences and they keep up with stuff. I understand a sock account in the sense of having it just to see and not engage, because that's just you doing research, in my opinion. A sock account to me is when you're intentionally going around a block, or you're intentionally trying to cause havoc with using a fake name and a fake profile, and you're just wreaking havoc. That is more of what a sock puppet and a troll are. That's why those two terms will sometimes be used interchangeably. And I think it just depends on what your definition of each one is. But a sock puppet is really just an alternative account that people most of the time don't know is yours. It's like an anonymous account. And socks have become so big, such a big part of the conversation, because most of the time sock accounts do tend to be trolls. There are people who are hiding their identity and just trying to cause problems for either specific people or for everyone. And so their way of doing that is to hide who they are and not feel guilty and know that they won't be held accountable unless VPNs are traced and stuff like that, which is what we saw with Creepshow Art. I mean, hers goes a lot deeper than that, but clearly she was engaging with all of these socks and doing all of this stuff because she didn't think she was going to get caught. Hey, Jen, good to see you. Sock accounts are trouble. Yeah, and I mean, some people will, and that's something that comes with if you, I don't know, if you don't have like a profile picture and you just have a very generic name, people may question your authenticity until they can see that you're not engaging in problematic trolling behavior. They may question you for a little while. Hey, Jen, good to see you. Could you stop? Stop. He's noisy. See, and Sue says like PayPal can be an issue if you have your full name on it. And that's true, but it's an unfortunate true part. Because if you have a creator who's under 1,000 or who's just at 1,000 and they want to better their equipment and their audience is asking for a way to help fund them, to be able to donate to them. I've seen this happen over the years where their audience wants to actually help them get better equipment or, you know, fund something if they're going on a trip, help fund the trip or whatever it may be. And I know, like for myself, I don't trust Cash App. Too many scams and things like that have happened on Cash App. I refuse to use Cash App. So I do have a PayPal, but I was sure not to have it under my legal name because you don't know what people are going to do with it. But it's unfortunate that that has to happen, because if you have a smaller channel who's at like 500 or 600 subs and they're doing awesome work and you really want to help promote them so that they can get that better equipment or whatever, and they may only have the means of PayPal. And if you're not anticipating that you're potentially going to be at risk for something awful to happen like a dox, you may not even think about it and just use and have your PayPal out there and then end up it being released against your knowledge or against your will when someone was just trying to do something nice to you and PayPal you, but because maybe you made that person mad or they no longer want to support you, they share that with other people. That's not fair. That's doxing. Like, you can't dox. I'm so sick of seeing all of this stuff about people being doxed and all the different ways and all the different excuses that are happening. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to pull up the definition of a dox. Okay. The definition of a dox is search for and publish private or identifying information about has in parentheses a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. That word typically is very, very important, people. That means that you can share somebody's private or identifying information and it not be for a malicious intent, and it still fits the definition of doxing. I see way too many people trying to deflect and say, well, it wasn't malicious. It was done on accident, this, that, or the other. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. If you are searching for it and publishing it, you are doxing somebody. It does not matter. And it doesn't matter if it's a secondhand dox. It is still a dox. Stop giving people the excuse to engage in this behavior because you are violating people's privacy. It's not right. It's not fair. And the double standard amongst different creators and different niches on the internet is just mind-boggling to me. I don't get it. Like, no one getting to somebody should never be that important that you are putting yourself at risk. You may absolutely hate somebody, think they're totally vile, the scum of the earth, that they belong in terrible places. It does not mean it warrants you putting yourself at the mercy and risk of potentially getting criminal charges just to be able to say, haha, got you. I released some of your information. I mean, it's something I will never be able to make sense of. You recently found a YouTube. Wait. Oh my goodness. See, and so she's saying that she was recently followed on YouTube by a radical feminist. So she changed her password, even with her dual factor on, who follows someone that doesn't create content, not an account. I mean, and that goes to show, like, you never know. And unfortunately, even if you are not a creator and you are active in a lot of live chats, some people who maybe don't have the best intentions may not be chatting in the live chat. They may just be viewing. And if they see you going in a lot of different places and they start to not like you or maybe even the opposite, and they start to have an obsession with you. That's why I'm saying, like, even as YouTube viewers and subscribers, it's important to think about your own privacy because you don't know who's watching you. That sounds creepy, but it's the internet. Like, you can't think that those things cannot happen to you. That is how bad things happen to people, is because you get too comfortable or too confident, or, a mixture of the both. You're just in a routine and you're comfortable with it. And you may overlook the very slightest detail that will say, hey, like, this is a red flag, or you're being followed, or something like that. I mean, it's the same. It's harder online, so that's why it's more important to protect yourself at the end of the day, because you don't know who's potentially silently watching. You don't know what their intentions are at the end of the day. And I would hate to have anybody end up feeling like they've been targeted, or that they get harassed or get nasty messages sent to them just because someone found their information. Or someone found their Twitter from their YouTube account and they just want to go harass them. I mean, it's gross, but it happens. And I would just prefer that not to be a thing. Just the other day, a creator had her last name said multiple times in a live. Her last name was not public. I mean, that's That's doxing. If the person, say for me for instance, okay, I have never once said my last name. I don't think I've ever said my middle name, and if I have, it is what it is. It's a pretty common middle name. But I have never once said my last name. Not my current last name. I think I maybe had said before what some of my other legal names were, but I unlisted that video because I realized that that was dangerous for me to potentially put that information out there. So being as someone who I am the creator, I have not shared on any platform publicly my last name. If somebody goes through the trouble of figuring out what my last name is and publishing it, or where I live and publishing it, stuff that I have specifically intentionally kept offline, if that stuff gets released, that's a dox. Unless I do it myself, unless I myself sit here and say, this is my last name, this is where I live. If anyone else goes digging for that information and releases it, that's doxing. That's 100% doxing. There's no question around it. I'm going to mute myself for a second because I can hear my dogs getting noisy. All right. Sorry about that. When they get riled up, they start getting the zoomies, and they'll zoom through here and make a mess. So I would just rather try and stop it while I can. So yeah, that's, if it's not public, it's a dox. And even if information is released by one person and that person is the initial doxer, but if you're going to take that information and further spread it, you are also participating in a dox. Whether you're doing it maliciously or not, if you're sharing private information, you are doxing somebody. You were asking, someone told you that they could see your contact information. No, we can't see your contact information. We, as creators, we don't have access to any kind of contact information from a subscriber or a member. So if you were told that, you were lied to. Wouldn't an Amazon wish list be the safest? I mean, it could be. And I'm sure there's creators who engage in, like, do that kind of thing too, do Amazon wish lists. I was just talking about from like a hypothetical / general point to have that part of the discussion. Well, that person who was doing, I'm not sure who or what you guys are talking about, but it sounds like somebody was doxxed, and that's not right. Hey, Adele, good to see you. People have a right to privacy, and just because people want to be private doesn't mean there's anything to hide. And even if there is something to hide, you don't know what kind of, I mean, every person in here right now, 67 people, unless you are a child, you have done something in your life that you're probably not proud of. Stop it. You've done something in your life that you're probably not proud of. Okay, think of like your most embarrassing moment or the worst thing you've ever done in your life. Think about that being shared to a ton of people and you not having the ability to explain or express that. That's what a dox is like. Some people are more open because that's the kind of content they want to create. That's the kind of community that they want to build, is one where you discuss troubles and how you got through them and situations like that. And that's up to the creator if they want to share some of those experiences. But if as a creator you don't want to share things, it doesn't necessarily mean it's because you're a bad person. It doesn't necessarily mean because you're ashamed of that, or because you didn't grow from that. The reason I don't share my information is for safety reasons, because I don't know who's ever watching me. I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure people don't like me. That's pretty clear at this point. But I mean, I don't want those people who maybe don't like me take it too far and start crossing into my personal life and maybe bothering my family. All of my family know of my channel, but that's one of the things that happens when creators get doxxed is people will go after their family and they'll just try to cause havoc and drama and lie and make stuff up. So I keep information that I know could potentially end up in a situation like that off of the internet, because it's nobody's business. You know, nobody needs to know who I am. And if you can't trust that I am who I portray myself to be, then that's a personal decision. That's when you decide if you want to unsubscribe or subscribe to a channel. It's all based off of how you feel about them and if you like their content. Now, if they're engaging in if you're not subscribed to, or you're subscribed to a channel that's actively engaging in super problematic behavior, you can call them out without getting their docs. Does that make sense? You can try and hold people accountable without doxing them. And just for sakes of saying it, like if you had somebody's private information and you felt you needed to call the authorities for whatever reason, because you thought somebody was unsafe or you thought somebody was in harm's way, you don't have to share that with the public. You don't have to. And I always question people who do share when they have called or that they have called, when they're just like getting on their platforms and saying, oh yeah, I did this and this. Like, it makes it seem like you're trying to be a savior. It looks like you're trying to gain clout from stuff like that. Like, nothing good comes from bragging about calling the authorities under any circumstances. If you genuinely care for someone, or you see something and you're worried about it and you have the information without searching for it, you already have the information and you call local authorities, like, that doesn't have to be anybody's business but yours and that agency's. I mean, bottom line, it doesn't have to become public knowledge where you're trying to either clout chase or like white knight and try to make yourself seem like a savior. Like, don't engage in stuff like that. Your intentions aren't pure at that point. How can you hate someone who has zero impact on your personal life? I mean, that's a good question. I think a lot of it has to do with people's feelings getting hurt and feeling that they need to defend themselves. I lost myself in the chat. I'm trying to find where I was. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, leave private conversations private. I mean, that would be the ideal scenario. And I agree for the most part. There are situations where I feel private conversation should be shared, and that's when criminal or illegal activities are happening, or stuff that's going on with the Anna Campbell story. Like, if those ladies hadn't shared some of their screenshots of the DMs, the general public wouldn't know how dangerous she is. So you have to be willing, when you're making these black and white decisions, you have to be willing to see that gray area. You have to be willing to think of other situations that are totally different but have the same kind of players. You have to be able to think of things that way. That's how you think critically. This is YouTube. Most of us aren't real life police officers, so only so much good can be done from digging up people. Yeah, I don't know of any good. Are you in here? Or is that a dog? Shut it. Sorry, my husband came home. I could hear him tiptoeing because my door was open. Hey, Lauren. You're a silent watcher because you work and listen. I used to do that too. When I was working in the office, I would listen to people's streams, and whether it was live or replay, I would watch a lot of people's live streams and just listen. I find it's harder for me to listen and be a part of the chat at the same time. It's kind of like one or the other has to have my focus. It's kind of hard for me to, when I moderate for people, it's hard for me to almost like keep up. So I always try to do my homework, so to speak, and know what the conversation is going to be about. So if it's a video that's being watched, I can make sure I watch the video so I can engage with the chat and still know what's going on. So I have some kind of sense of what's going on in the situation. Otherwise, I do kind of get lost. So I prefer to be a silent watcher. And at this point, I've become just a silent watcher on YouTube in general. I don't leave comments anymore. It's very rare that I do. And I know that sucks just because as a creator, I know the engagement helps, but I'm trying to just transform my content into and not be so much associated with what I have been. I want to kind of revamp everything. And I think if I comment on anything or if I'm seen somewhere, it may be like brought into question. So I just am putting that chapter behind me. So it's entirely shut. And at this point, I'm kind of all over the place with what kind of content I'm watching. You're asking what a strike is. There's different kinds of strikes, and I'm not the best about terms of service. So please take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. If you want to know exactly, Google it. But there's community guideline strikes and there's copyright strikes. If you have copywritten material in your lives or your videos, that can be other people's footage, that can be anything that's copyrighted. So music, movies, TV shows, anything that could be copyrighted. If it is copyrighted, the creator or the owner of whatever it is that you use that's copywritten can strike your channel for a copyright infringement because it's against the law to do that. And if you get 3 copyright strikes on your channel, it will be removed. When it comes to the community guidelines, I don't know all of the terms of service related to that. Yeah, unfortunately, doxing it's kind of like a new norm online, and it's confusing because it's like, aren't most people who are online, and I mean in the communities that I've known to be a part of or to exist in, most of the creators and most of the people in the community are adults. And I'm just like appalled that adults are continually to engage in behavior like this. Even younger adults shouldn't engage in behavior like this. When it comes to teenagers, does it make it any better that their teenagers are doing it? No, but they lack the maturity to understand the gravity of what they're doing. And I think that's why at times larger creators have manipulated teenagers to do their dirty work for them. It's also why I think larger creators have manipulated at times smaller creators to do their dirty work for them. That way their hands stay clean, and if need be or suspicion happens, they can throw whoever they ask to do it under the bus. It happens more often than I think people, like the general viewer, is aware. Hey, Chels. likes to try and claim people dox. Yeah, unfortunately, in that situation for that individual, she did release her own information. And to me, the only thing that comes into question with that, Charles, when it comes to Miss Ashy Cat and like her information being out there, is her frame of mind when things were shared. Like when she shared the sign and when she shared her uniform that had some of the information on it. If she wasn't in the right state of mind, like I don't think that should have been held against her. As far as her trying to say other people did it to her, no. Like I understand she has released almost all of the information that the public knows is because of her own doing. Spreading it, that's more of a moral issue, like a moral and an ethical question at that point, because clearly, if you've ever watched her or are aware of her, there is some serious issues going on with substance abuse, and she's not in the right frame of mind. So if you're morally and ethically comfortable with sharing information that clearly someone who's intoxicated or under the influence, however you want to word it, that's on you. But I still think that does it fall under the definition of a dox for her? No, but it's not morally appropriate, in my opinion, to be further spreading that information because she is hardly ever stable. We'll just put it that way. You've seen doxing in other channels, also done subtly. I mean, I will say this right now. I don't think anybody has ever been doxed on my channel, and I hope that that never happens. But if it does happen, if someone in my chat tries to dox someone else, I would hope my mods, and this will be a message to my mods now, block them. I don't care. If you are going to try and stir shit and be malicious and be an asshole like that, I don't think you deserve to be a part of my community. And if you want to be a part of my community, you can just be a silent watcher at that point, because I don't support doxing. I don't think it's appropriate. There is no excuse for it whatsoever. And I mean, I would think my mods would understand that I wouldn't allow that kind of thing. They would definitely delete the comment, but I'm saying now, like, go ahead and block them from my channel, which my mods, I don't think have ever had to block anyone, which I appreciate, but I know in due time, something will likely happen because it happens to every creator. You're afraid of adding your bank to your phone. I mean, that's a personal choice. The chat jumped on me. I'm trying to find where I was at. Okay, I think I found it. All it takes is one person, bad intentions. The longer you're online, the more likely it is you'll run into someone like that, unfortunately. Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of like the same advice in person. You act like when I talk about this, I think to my early 20s when I wasn't probably acting the best and I wasn't, super conscious of every decision I was making. I always tried to make sure I was safe to a degree, but looking back, like I did some pretty dumb and reckless things that could have put me in pretty bad situations. And luckily that I didn't have that experience, but it goes to show that like you never know what's going to happen, especially when you are in a situation when you're talking to or in a room of strangers or in a brand new place by yourself. Hence why I never went anywhere by myself. I still don't. Kind of like a child that way. But I mean, your privacy like in person is also just as important as your privacy online. You think it's courageous to be a platform a creator on this platform. There's so many. Yeah, and I think putting yourself in the position, not just to be a creator, but just anybody. So if you had like a following on any kind of social medias, I think they're all kind of put into the same place. YouTube is just the easiest platform, in my opinion, for people to see how fame may be able to be obtained, because there's so many creators that are really well known that have millions upon millions of subscribers. So I think it's the easiest one to relate to, like fame and things like that. But there's creators on every platform. Some people don't engage in YouTube, and that they are Instagram models, or I don't really know what the equivalent to that would be on Twitter, but you know, being a mod these days is not I don't know if I know that word. Inviolable either. I'm not sure if I know what that word means. I mean, by context clues, I'm going to assume that, being a mod to a channel is almost guilt by association. And I know I'm behind in the chat. So hopefully that's what you mean, because I can see that. I've seen people be moderators on channels that get accused for things that the creators did, or things happening in the chat that they maybe didn't catch. I appreciate my mods. I appreciate any mod anywhere, to be honest, because it's a position that you're put in most of the time voluntarily. If anybody ever doesn't want to be a mod, like, I hope people respect, I hope the creators respect that decision and take the wrench away. But, I mean, it's voluntary. Like, they're voluntarily putting themselves in the place to assist the creator in however they want to run their chat. At the end of the day, if people would mind their own business, most of these issues wouldn't happen. I mean, I can agree to some extent with that, because going and looking for people's stuff is not their business, and it's not them minding their business. But I think, like, the core issues of when people start engaging in doxing behavior is because there's already been a tit for tat going. There's already been feelings hurt, people being offended, people being defensive, people being offensive. So I don't, unless I'm incorrect, like, and please let me know if you can think of a situation. I can't think of any situation where I have seen or become aware of a dox when there wasn't already an issue with that creator and the one who doxed them, or the person who doxed them, or the community that ended up doxing them, if that makes sense. So I agree, and maybe you're on the same wavelength and I'm just going more into detail. I don't know. It's courageous to be a creator, but some creators use doxing as a power move over other channels. Yeah, unfortunately, that does happen. And that's why I say to any creator who is starting their channel or new or hasn't had this experience, still protect yourself in private. Don't share information with people that you don't want to have out publicly. And you may feel that you can 100% trust the creator based off of their content, and they've reached out to you, or you've reached out to them and a conversation has started. Don't share information until you are 100% comfortable and confident with that person. I have a handful of creator friends at this point that I talk to offline who do have my personal number, and I will tell you that no one else will probably get my personal number, because in the event that something were to happen, I would want to have a small pool for creators who just dish out their phone number to whomever, whatever. If you piss one of them off, you're not going to know where to go if you have 15, 20 people who you have given some of your private information to. So I don't go just giving your information out to anyone. And I'm not trying to discourage people from formulating friendships or relationships, because you can do that through your Twitter or your Instagram or even your email, but have an email that is not associated with who you are in real life. He was trying to be quiet. Yeah, he's not a quiet dog. He's very loud and he snores all the time. Trying to catch up on the chat. You salute the mods. Yeah, I do too. I appreciate every mod for my channel and for other people's channels, because you kind of at times can be put in a position as a moderator where you're like, for me, for instance, when I'm modding, and primarily the only channel I mod for right now is Xylee, because Britt hasn't done any live streams. But I've been in the position before as my own like having my own channel, and there's been a comment that's popped up and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I should delete this. Like, I don't know. And it's gone both ways. It's been, I wouldn't delete this, but I know her chat rules, and I think that this falls like in line with having to be deleted, versus also being like, the opposite of that, like seeing something and it not being deleted, and I think it should be, so it's a very, and I'm a creator, and I know how I want my chat to seem to people, especially when the replay happens, but I can't make that, like, different creators have different expectations for their chat, and that's totally fine. And as a moderator, you get put in the position sometimes of, you maybe not agreeing with something being allowed to happen, but if the creator's okay with it, you have to let them make that choice. And at the end of the day, most creators do kind of go back through. Like, I try to always catch up to the end of the chat before I end. That way, in case anything crazy or vulgar or trolling happens, which happened in one of my last lives, that was totally awesome. I hope you can tell the sarcasm there. But I mean, for creators who are able to maintain their chats, I think they maintain their chats very well. I think when you start to have like 500, 600 plus people in your chat, unless you have a shit ton of moderators, you're going to have comments that end up in there that you're not going to know happened, and that one person may see and be offended by and try to make a big old issue out of it. I mean, it's one of those positions. And then the moderators also feel the same pressure, even if they're not content creators, but they feel the same pressure at times when they moderate and it happens in a chat that ends up blasted, and they're like, oh, maybe I could have prevented that. It's very weird. It's a weird cycle. Why not do multi-level marketing videos? I am going to do, that was one that was posed to me when I was doing a live stream asking for what you guys would want to see from me. I am going to do like a very generalized MLM video. It probably won't be until I get back from vacation though. I was worried you were perceived as a troll. I mean, I try not to assume anyone's a troll. I give everybody like the benefit of the doubt, unless you leave some pretty atrocious comments or you're constantly engaging in the same kind of comment. I'm not going to assume you're a troll. Even if you are, like, if you're not genuinely trying to hurt me or whoever I'm talking about, it doesn't bother me. In live chats, it tends to be different, because when you have a troll come in your live chat, they typically say some very offensive and very vulgar things. You always find yourself in different YouTube black holes. I do too. I think most people, that's kind of how you consume YouTube, is you end up down black holes and then you come out and then you go back down another one. You feel people are sensitive these days? I mean, some people are sensitive. Some I think are valid probably in how they're feeling. You're appalled at how adults argue. Yeah. If someone is a paid member of the channel, can the creator see? No, they cannot, Christy. Unless you are giving the creator your email address, you do not see. Creators, when you have memberships, the only thing the creator can see is when they joined, their YouTube icon, and their YouTube name. I'm not going to share my screen with you guys because for obvious reasons, but I will pull it up just so I'm looking at it and referencing it while we are talking about it. It takes a minute to get to the right page. Right. So as a creator, you can see everybody who is a member of your channel, and all it does is say the member in a column, and it has your icon and your username that you have. Then it says total time as a member, so however long collectively that they have been a member to your channel, and then it shows the last update. There's a column, so there's 3 columns. There's no private information there. There's no email, no credit cards, no full names. There's none of that. So if a creator has ever told you that they can see your email and stuff like that from the memberships on here, no. Now, when you cross platforms into like Patreon and Discord, I don't know how those work. I have never been a part of those. Excuse me. So those you may have to give emails. And I would assume for Patreon you do, because I was subscribed to a Patreon podcast, and I would get emails, so they had to have had my email some way. But no, we do not get any private information just from YouTube memberships. We don't get any of your information as subscribers. Oh, my chat just jumped. Hey, Xylee. Hey, Skip. I see you guys in the chat. I'm just way behind. Yeah, so there's no personal information given whenever you are a member to somebody's channel. It's just whatever would show up in the live chat. Doxing question I've had: if you release enough info for someone to put the pieces together, does it count as doxing still? Someone said the other day that person released all the info. Okay, again, the definition of a dox, it's very easy to understand if you take away situations. So if you search for and publish private or identifying information about someone on the internet, we'll take out the malicious, typically with a malicious intent. We're not even going to say that, because you don't have to have, this definition is practically saying you don't have to have malicious intent. Now, I think for criminal stuff, you probably do have to have that underlying element. But if you are searching for and publishing private information of someone online, then you have doxed someone. It's private or identifying information. That's another thing that people will kind of say, oh, well, it's not a dox because it wasn't their name. Bullshit. If it was something that they didn't have shared public and you have searched for it and then published it, you have doxed somebody. That is the very basic definition. I don't know why people can't understand what doxing is. I have a personal Facebook. Please don't go looking for me because I'm saying this, because then you are engaging in doxing. I have a personal Facebook, okay? I've had it this entire time. I've had it since I was in high school, right? I think most of us have, especially if you're my age or close to my age or younger, right? So that's been out there. So according to whoever is saying this, I'm not sure who you're saying, but you're talking about they had accounts that exist. So say Xylee got pissed off at me, which she would never freaking do this, but I'm just using her because I know she would never freaking do this. She got pissed off at me and she went and found my private Facebook and she shared it. She screenshotted it and shared it. What did she have to do to get to my private Facebook? She had to search for it. And when she took that screenshot and shared it on her platform, what did she do? She published private information that was not public. Therefore, she had doxed me. So just because a creator or whoever, a figure, a celebrity, whatever, if they are engaging in something and it is private and they have not shared it with the public and someone else goes behind or goes around and searches for that information, although it may be viewable to the public, if they are searching for it and they haven't published it to their platform to a degree, that is doxing. Xylee's statement was hilarious. I mean, I don't blame her. I would probably have reacted a very similar way if someone had come into my DMs and shared information with me. I don't know. God bless her heart. I feel bad for her that she clearly felt that she was pushed up against the wall and she had to say something, but I get her frustration. That's why I retweeted it and kind of added my own information to how I feel about all of the doxing that's going on. Hey, Crystal, good to see you. Hopefully you're still here. I know I'm far behind in the chat. Hey, Shell Belly. A lot of people have told you to do YouTube because you're chatty and pretty funny. Sure, definitely. I mean, if you feel like you have anything to bring, definitely create a channel. Just be aware of the negative side effects that can come from having a channel. If you can prepare yourself for that, by all means, definitely go for it. Don't add people to your, yeah, nobody knows my personal Facebook. Even the people that I have felt comfortable enough with giving my phone number to, like my creator friends, they don't know they still don't know my last name, and they still don't know my personal Facebook and stuff like that. Hey, Jenna, sweet tea, good to see you. I know I'm late, but Skip, who is also a mod, said, in my opinion, mods are there for the chatter's benefit just as much for the creators. Do whatever makes them, the chatters, feel comfortable enough to engage with the creator. Yeah, I understand that for sure. A lot's been going on, Xylee. We're just chatting about privacy primarily, which clearly brings up the conversation of doxing. There's been a lot of people doxed recently, from my understanding. Been listening this whole time. No worries. I appreciate you being here, even if you're just a listener. Hey, JB. What you don't know is how to get over is when subs keep the drama going in live chat when the creator is trying to move on. I mean, to me, I don't know. It can go twofold. It really depends on how the creator handles the situation. If the creator is choosing to engage in the chat that is continuing or stirring the drama, then the creator is making the conscious decision to continue it by engaging with that. If it's the opposite, where the creator has ignored it and it's happening in their chat, then I would advise the creator to have a conversation with their moderators that we need to delete comments that are going to continue to stir the pot. That would be my advice. But it doesn't always go how you think. You can make a call as a creator and it just really go left and not be understood, or the general public will assume it's something else than what you had intended it for. You assume everybody's in trouble. I mean, that's probably the best way to navigate yourself online. I shouldn't laugh, and I mean that genuinely. Because if you think someone's a troll, you are likely to not give them information. You are likely to be very questionable and hesitant to what they say. You're not just going to believe everything because you like them or something like that. It's probably a better way to manage your time online and your interactions with people online. Oh no, my chat jumped again. I think I'm getting close though. Like, you don't have the time to sit and chat for 5 hours a day, which is cool that some people do. I listen while at work or driving and sometimes have nothing to contribute to the conversations. Yeah, and I understand that. Like, I think every creator has a good bit of silent watchers. You're also going to have people who don't like you that are going to listen just because they want to know what you're saying and they're waiting to see if you say something or if you shade them. Especially as a creator, that tends to happen. I mean, that is what it is. That just comes with the territory. But overall, like, personally, I don't chat in most live streams that I'm in. I used to, and I was finding myself either paying attention fully to the chat or paying attention fully to the creator. And then it becomes a mixed match. And when you're a creator and you go into another creator's stream as a commenter, it's a weird feeling, because if their subscribers are also if you have shared subscribers, I almost feel at times that I have derailed conversations on accident just for coming in and everybody saying hi to me, or, you know, a few people. It still is taking up space in the live chat for people to acknowledge you that are also subscribers to you. And I understand they're doing it because they like you and they want you to know, like, hey, it's appreciated, you're here. But it can derail another creator's chat. And I've seen that happen. I've done it on accident. And I try to, when I moderate for Xylee, I try to, when people acknowledge me, like, just be very quick and short and high, so it doesn't drag on in her chat for too long. Because I've had that happen where people have acknowledged me and I've said hi, and then they want to kind of keep a conversation with me going, and then it just kind of drags throughout the chat, and it can become a little bit confusing to the person whose channel you're on, because they may think that something else is going on, and so they don't realize there's like a whole side conversation type thing. So I've learned just to be a silent watcher. And even if I watch stuff on the replay or I watch a video, occasionally I will comment, but I've kind of stopped. What I do to help my fellow YouTubers in the algorithm is I just like the video. And if I really feel it resonates, I will share it. Like, I'll retweet tweets and stuff like that about it, just to help give it maybe a new set of eyes somewhere. Hey, Sharon, good to see you. The only time anything could be remotely thought of. When you watch someone on live stop breathing. I mean, that's concerning. Oh, no, ma'am. I've never heard Skip talk before, and this is probably me just projecting based off of her comments that she always puts, but I just foresee her as being like super, like, just sassy about it, like, like setting her foot down, like, nope, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I understand deleting all of that stuff. I have the one, and there, I don't have anything to hide for me personally. I've had that conversation before. It's not for me, it's for my family. If people wanted to harass me, I would just get a new phone and I would move. Being military, if I'm threatened, we have we have the ability to, if our lives are threatened, to get out of our lease and move. So, I mean, I know I'm at an advantage that way that most people, I would assume that most people don't have the advantage of that kind of thing. But I don't want my family to have to deal with people online harassing them. And that's, I feel like what most people go for when they dox people is just to try and cause as much havoc. And they tend to go after people's families and relatives. And all of my family and relatives know about my channel. Most of them actually watch my channel on replay. My mom has even been on my channel at this point. So I don't know. Just, I don't, people's intentions are super weird. Hey, DJ Better, good to see you. You don't have the same name across social media platforms. Yeah, and I don't mind that. I've seen some people, some creators kind of talk about how they can't keep people straight because their YouTube name is different from their Twitter name. And to me, like, that just raises a red flag to me. Like, why does it matter? Unless you're like having deep, serious conversations with people, which again, I would advise people not to really engage in until you're comfortable and you're to that point. It shouldn't matter who you're talking to. Like, why does it matter if you know that this is their Twitter name and this is them on your YouTube channel? Why does that have any significance? I really can't understand why that would have any significance. Because we don't need to know all that. Why do I need to know personal information of anyone on YouTube? Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, for what reason? Especially if it's not, I mean, if it's something that's that serious that they feel that someone feels needs to be talked about or needs to be said or whatever, I would feel that they would do it themselves, or they would go to the authorities if it was something serious. Like, why go to another creator's DMs sharing someone's private information, no matter what it was? You know, I mean, it's just, I don't. Yeah, I've been emailed a few things about privacy things going on with family channels. I have not had the opportunity to look into it. I've been kind of swamped with trying to make sense of the other two stories. I've been trying to formulate my thoughts about to make content on this week. You mostly listen, you rarely speak in chat, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with being, Skip is very sassy. There's nothing wrong with being a silent watcher. And, you know, I see creators kind of get caught up in the fact of, oh, I have this many people watching and this many likes or this many dislikes. Like, yeah, it's good for your channel to promote people liking or disliking your channel because it helps boost it in the algorithm. But it's the people who kind of get caught on, oh, well, there's this many people and only like a third have engaged in some way with the like to dislike button. And that's just because some people aren't comfortable, and that's totally fine. Like, I don't know. I feel weird when creators do stuff like that. Clearly, like, creators just encouraging people to like their streams or to subscribe to their channel. Like, that's normal behavior. But when it starts to become like an issue where they're trying to allude that people are just, they're like lurking. And I've heard people say, oh, there's lurkers in like a negative way. I've heard it both ways. But when you're talking about people who are just silently watching, like, I don't understand. Are you trying to like dig that you think, like, give somebody a dig that, oh, suspicious that there's people watching me who don't like me? Be glad you got a view from somebody who doesn't like you. Be glad they're adding to that AdSense. If you're monetized, be glad they're helping push your video into the algorithm with that view. I mean, that's just kind of how I look at it. I think people get too caught up on numbers, and it's unfortunate. Most doxing is a scare tactic. Yeah, I can see that. I do see that aspect of it, of people just trying to scare others. But like, I understand the person who maybe does the doxing, it like shares the doxed information, how they're trying to just scare whoever's information is that they've released. But the thing is when they're doing that, clearly they are not thinking that there may be somebody who will see that either really dislikes that creator too, or is overly obsessed with that creator, and something bad could happen because of that. Do they not? They're clearly, I don't think people are taking that step to rationalize and to critically think what their actions are doing and what their behavior is implicating. And that's what just shocks me. Like, most of the people who I have seen engaged in doxing lately have been adults. And I mean, adults that are my age, if not older. And I'm 31. And I'm pretty sure most of the people engaging in this are either my age or older. And it's just like, if I'm at my age and I can take a second and think about what implications this has, what kind of repercussions that could have, not only for the person you're doing this to, but also for yourself potentially. Why are you not able to? Like, why? I don't know. I think I'm also an overthinker. I've said that recently. I'm a huge overthinker, and I don't know if that's portrayed or not. Maybe that's part of it. Got hair in my mouth. I'm going to get off of here soon. We've been on for a while. I'm going to try and catch up to the end of the chat, and then I'm probably going to go. It's not about having nothing to hide. People can use your online profiles to hack your accounts regardless of your integrity. So it's just good. Yeah, I mean, it's always good measure for sure. You always get confused and think that one person is 3 different people. It's just weird. If you say, how are you today 3 times in a row? Hey, Melly Lynn, you're leery of chatting at the moment. It seems some creators notice you will call you out for being in a different chat. Yeah, that behavior needs to stop. The behavior of creators calling out subscribers for maybe disagreeing with them or allowing their chat to jump onto them because they disagree or they point out something that maybe is concerning, or you're seen somewhere else and it's held against you, or you're thought of as if you have the plague. It's like, my biggest question for that is, please don't be offended by this, but why the fuck do you care? Why do you care where I am and what I am saying? Why do you care about somebody you really don't know who just puts content online? Yes, I try to build a good rapport with my subscribers and creator friends, but at the end of the day, you guys are not talking to me daily. You're not feeding me. You're not, my best friend, my next door neighbor. So why do you care that I am in another chat, or that I maybe even comment in a chat disagreeing with you? Because just because I haven't said, for me anyways, just because I haven't said something to your face doesn't mean I'm not planning on it. And the same goes for, just because people see me say things in public doesn't mean I haven't said them in private, because I will guarantee most of the time I have talked to people in private if I have problems with them and they were someone that was on my level. Even, and I'm going to say this name just this one time for an exception to prove a point, I have even had civil conversations with Katie before. Do they end up silly? Yeah, but we disagree. We are 2 very totally different people, and that's fine. But my thing is I will tell whoever it is my issues with you to your face. I am not someone who's just going to sit on my platform and talk shit, because I try not to talk shit. Have I? Absolutely. I'm human. I am emotional at times. My feelings can get involved at times. So yeah, I have engaged in behavior that I say isn't the best behavior to engage in. As creators, I think we all do at some point or another. That's how we learn. That's how we refine our content. That's how we refine our audience. That's how we get to know how to navigate moving forward to make sure that we're comfortable and our audience is comfortable, and that we're not crossing boundaries, and that we are able to have good, healthy discussions, debates, and conversations, and know that not everybody is going to leave. A few people are likely to leave offended no matter what you say or what you do, just because this is the internet. But the fact that people are being followed or tracked, like, why do you care? And someone was there, either, if not yourself, someone who clearly supports you enough to show you that I was there. Why are you questioning me and not them? Because then that goes to say that if they're not questioning that person, they knew that person was there, they were there for a reason or asked to be there, which is even more of an issue in my opinion. I mean, that's just a rabbit hole of issues all in itself. I'm sorry you've been put in that position. I've had several people say in other chats and who have come to me in private that they have been put in that position, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And whatever creator that is doing that to you, please look at their behavior and see if it's worth being a part of their community. And even if that stands for my own, I will totally say, like, don't have a double standard for me. If you feel that someone in my community has come after you, please let me know, because that person won't be here anymore, because I'm not for that kind of behavior. There's no reason for it. Your husband is Mr. Xiley. Yeah, I think every time my husband's come in, I just said, hey. Hey, Flutterbear. It's okay. Oh, my chat just jumped yet again. You love your lurkers. I know you do, Xiley. You always give them a shout out. And like an endearing way. There is definitely a difference between like endearing your lurkers and stuff like that, and talking about it in a way where clearly it's bothered you to some degree, that you have people just sitting there listening, and or you make comments of people just sitting listening, or you make comments of people screen recording it. Like, what good does that do, except for maybe try to say like the, oh, I got you thing, you know? I don't know. There's nothing wrong with being a lurker. Like I said, and I've said multiple times, I'm a lurker myself. I tend to silently watch. Hey, Diane, good to see you. You overanalyze everything. I don't know if I overanalyze much. I just overthink. I'm trying to get to the end. I know we've been here for a while. Yeah, you've seen a man creator do that, and it really made you want to look at the channel. I mean, and it's not even just a gender thing. Like, there's creators, all different shapes and sizes, all different demographics, all different, niches that engage in that. It's not a new thing. I think now, as people are trying to build solid, like, healthy communities, it's being talked about more, but I don't think that this is something that has just appeared. I think this has been going on for a while. That's why when the drama channels were a thing, they would call out whoever they were talking about, whether it was Jeffree Star, or I'm going to keep to beauty because that's the kind of drama channels I used to watch, like Jeffree Star drama. They would say, oh, Jeffree's fans or Jeffree stans. It's the same. They're like the stan word, and like what we're talking about, people going and watching and then getting back to the creator, or the creator secretly lurking and then trying to call you out for it later. That's that's like weird standing behavior, in my opinion. I don't like it. There's no reason. You don't talk shit. Since when don't you talk shit, Xylee? Depends on where you're at, I feel like, if that's going to fit. Why do they feel they can talk about you behind your back? Because they're humans, and humans talk about people behind their back. I just wish people wouldn't let it affect them. Like, there has been the rare occasion where I have kind of gotten emotional, or I have gotten heated about knowing that things were said to me or things were sent to me that was said about me. But at the end of the day, when I start to let stuff like that bother me for my channel, I sit back and I know myself in real life, and myself in real life wouldn't care. And that's the kind of attitude that I have tried to reinforce. And I mean, it is what it is. As long as you're not going to lie about me, if you're just talking about how much you don't like me and why you don't like me, I genuinely, I don't care. Just don't lie and say that I do stuff that I don't, or say that I did stuff that I didn't, because that's just asking for drama. Because if you're going to lie about me, I'm going to probably correct it. And that's when dramas can happen. And I'd prefer to not have to deal with that. Not saying I won't have to, because again, when you're in commentary, it happens. All right, I'm going to try and get through here pretty quick, because it has been almost 2 hours. This is like one of the longest streams I've had in a while, and my mouth is dry and I'm kind of hungry. It takes a lot for you to unsubscribe. You can disagree, be irritated, comment, and move on. I've never met anyone I agree with on everything, right? I mean, who has? Who has? Hey, Keely, good to see you. You got your comment put on a screen and basically interrogated for saying hi in a chat. See, that's the kind of stuff that, like, what? Why? Why does it matter? I just don't understand. Hey, Belinda, good to see you. How do I feel about Courtney and the Long case? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Ashley. If you're talking about Michael Long, I stopped following that case a while ago. I do know that recently, as of last night anyways, I haven't checked anything today. Sophie and her dad are missing, allegedly. Like, there's missing stuff out. I'm probably not going to discuss it. There's plenty of people who are. See, all of you guys saying that you got nailed in somebody else's chat is just ridiculous. I'm sorry for those of you guys who have experienced that. I truly am. It's not what YouTube's supposed to be about. Pooh Bear stories gave you a false sense of security. Pooh was actually one of the cartoons that I do remember watching as I was growing up. My chat keeps jumping to the bottom. Sorry, I'm trying to get to everybody and not have it jump. Oh my gosh. I must be super close, and that's why it's just constantly jetting down to the edge, or the bottom, the edge. I appreciate you, Carrie, and I can guarantee that Xylee appreciates you too. Silent watchers are just as important as active watchers. They really are. You get nailed all the time being in chats. Yeah, and that's just not. Why does it matter? Like, why does it matter? Why? Why does it matter whether you're a content creator or not? Why does it matter what kind of content you're consuming and what kind of content you're engaging in? Unless you are someone, the only time that I could see this even slightly being an argument is if you are, say, a commentary channel who calls out problematic behavior and you are in a chat of someone who has been, okay, I'll give this example. Say Xylee goes into one of Anna Campbell's lives and is not trying to like talk to her, but just talking to her chat and like kind of trying to fit in there. That would be weird. Like that I would call into question. But aside from that, like it doesn't make any sense. And even the act of her doing that, if she ever did, doesn't necessarily mean it's what it's being portrayed as. She may be going to that chat hoping to get Anna's attention to actually maybe have some kind of conversation or interview with her. Like you never know. But people will see something and they are so quick to jump on conspiracy theories and speculation. And then they pass their speculation and conspiracy theories off as if there's some kind of validity to it. And then the next person believes them or agrees. And it continues to be said to the point that new people coming in just believe that that's what happened or that's what is happening. And that's not always the case. You don't always correct lies told about you. I like to take note of who believes that dumb shit. I mean, I would agree. There's only been a few times that it's happened and I've corrected them, but I'm sure there's been others from what I've been sent that I just don't even mess with. Oh my goodness, 2 cars break down and went. I'm sorry. I hope you're able to get one functioning, if not both. It's ridiculous. Not your job to do. Hey, Stephanie, good to see you. What's the hardest content you've done in the past? I don't think any of my content has been hard. As in, like, hard for me to talk about. I don't think any of it has been. I do have some challenging content coming up, and it's more finding it's not challenging in the sense for me to discuss it. It's challenging in the sense of making sense of it to break it up. And that's the Anna Campbell stuff. So I'm going to hopefully be filming a video, if not tonight, tomorrow morning, to go out for you guys on Wednesday on an introduction to my coverage of the Anna Campbell stuff. And I'm going to cover it in a different way than, at least this first video is going to be different than what I have seen other people and how they've covered it. It's all been mentioned, but I'm going into one specific avenue that I haven't found anybody deep dive into yet. Doesn't mean that they haven't. There's so many videos out about this situation and live streams being done almost daily that it is very hard to keep up with it. So I've had challenging content in that sense, but as far as like topics that I've covered and stuff that I talk about, no, I try to make sure it's within a healthy realm for me to feel comfortable talking about it and being open about it. So, I hope I answered your question to what you were actually asking. You still have to watch some of Xylee's lives, read the 4-hour live. Yeah, I was in and out on that, so I have to go back and watch the whole thing. I've seen the video, the original video, but I like to hear Xylee's commentary. I like to hear everybody's commentary on things because it helps me see things from different perspectives. Is it going to is it going to sway me to believe one way or another? No, not really, because I already know enough about the situation to know where I sit and where I stand. But hearing how other people feel and how other people are explaining the situation is it's beneficial to help you think critically and maybe think of things in a different way than what you would have before. So I have appreciated watching. I could not tell you how many videos I have consumed. In this first video I may only link a handful, but moving forward in that series, because there will be at least a couple of videos following that, there's going to be like a laundry list of videos that I watch, because I'm going to link all of the videos that I've watched to get to my opinion and to get to how I formulated the thoughts that I did, if that made sense. Oh, yeah, it's Anna, not Anna. I apologize. So you have a rental until Wednesday. That's going to be fun. PCB, are you talking about Panama City Beach? There are a lot of videos. Yeah, I know. Luckily, I've had one of my friends who is another content creator. She's been back saving a lot of videos, and she shared that with me, and then I have added to my own. So altogether, I think I have consumed probably 20 videos, if not more. And most of the videos covering this situation are a minimum of 20 minutes, and most are longer than that. Most are at least 40 minutes, if not longer. So I have spent already a lot of time, and I still want to watch all of the others that I have found and that have been linked, just to really get an all around thought process. So unfortunately, that video is probably going to be filmed while I'm on vacation, and it's probably not going to be the best quality, but I will get it out to you guys. It's just not going to. One will be out this week, maybe two. It depends on how much I can get done this week with everything else I have to do. So I've got a lot of things to do this week. Yeah, Heather, I don't think, as Xylee said, it's a heavy subject. I don't think Xylee or any creator who has covered that is going to be mad at anyone in their audience for not watching or engaging in the live streams, because parts of it are super dark and super serious, and it can hit really close to home for people who have struggled with any of the topics. So I definitely understand people not participating. Yeah, I don't blame you, Belinda. That would make me mad too. Jen, what am I doing wrong? I've never been called out by a creator on their channel. It's not necessarily in that sense, Jen. It's more in the sense of you're in someone's chat, and then another creator or their chat sections pinpoint you when you join that chat, being like, oh, I saw you here. Why were you doing this? Or in Stina's situation, sharing a screenshot of her saying hi to a creator in their live chat and that being held against them. I mean, that's more the sense. Not that the creator necessarily got on. I guess in some cases, yeah, but I don't know. Well, that will be fun. I hope you have a good time. I hope you have fun on vacation. I've said before, I'm from the Panhandle, so I know where you're talking about, and Panama City is a very pretty beach. All of the beaches in the Panhandle really are. they're prettier than the ones in South Florida, and people don't understand that. They don't realize that. All right, I'm going to get through these last couple of comments, and then I am going to get off of here. So, what happened to doing collaborations between creators used to be so interesting. I'm not sure in what aspect you mean. Creators still do collabs. I've done quite a few collabs. I think the last collab I did was with Xylee. Some creators just aren't comfortable collabing either, and I can understand where some of that comes from, but I don't know. I feel like I still see plenty of collabs happening. Yeah, Sue. All right. Alrighty, guys. Well, I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. I hope you guys have a good rest of your Monday evening, night, or day, wherever you are, or Tuesday if you're ahead in the future. I probably won't have any uploads tomorrow, but there should be my first upload into my coverage of the Anna Campbell stuff on Wednesday. If you guys were interested or had been a part of the criticism about my memberships, I have added another tier, and I posted that on the community tab. So if you're interested in doing the live streams, that is available as a cheaper alternative. It's not required. Please don't feel pressured. Members only is just an additional content and additional live streams. So you don't have to participate in that. Don't feel you need to. I just wanted to make sure I stated it for those who were interested or who were waiting for me to talk about it. That is the case. But with that being said, I hope you guys, again, have a good rest of your evening today, evening tonight, and then have a good day tomorrow. I will see you guys soon. Bye.